Based on your experience, as I noted, the only person to serve as Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury, and White House Chief of Staff. The big conversation in this town and around the world is the first 2+ weeks of the Trump administration. Let me just start with a general question. How do you think they're doing out of the box?
Well, I think they're doing well on some things and not so well on others. The travel ban, which has caused a lot of confusion and comment and so forth, was really not rolled out with the preparation that I think they should have given it, and we're seeing the results of that now. Running the government's a lot different than running a corporation or a business where the CEO can give the order and it gets implemented. That doesn't necessarily happen in this town, you know that very well. On the other hand, they've done a really good job on some things. The Supreme Court announcement, I think was an extraordinarily good pick. I hope and believe that he will be confirmed. The rollout on that was absolutely perfect. On the travel ban, the process matters. Process really can make a difference, and particularly in this town, and how you present stuff to the public.
When you see this president's early steps on the world stage, what do you think? And let me start with this one. When Bill O'Reilly said across the seats like this from the president the other day about Vladimir Putin, he's a killer, would you have given the same answer President Trump gave?
I'm not going to answer that question yet. I will in a minute. Let me say about pragmatism. I think this president is a pragmatist. He's a successful businessman, and I think he wants to succeed.
Is there a moral equivalency between the United States and Vladimir Putin's Russia?
No. There is no moral equivalency. No, absolutely not. And I've already said I don't think that. Let me go back a minute and tell you something that happened at the end of the Cold War after the implosion of the Soviet Union. For 15 years thereafter, we in the West, the United States particularly, and Russia had really good relations under both Yeltsin and Putin, Vladimir Putin. I worked with him. Things worked. We cooperated. And then I don't know exactly what happened, but I think perhaps he got in domestic political trouble back in Russia and needed to find a whipping boy, and he found NATO and the United States. I think that's regrettable. Can that be turned around? I don't know. It would certainly be in our interest and in the interest of Russia if we could do that, provided we didn't change our principles and values. Provided that we didn't excuse the idea that if you don't like what's going on in a neighboring country, you just roll the tanks. And I don't think we'll do that. I certainly hope we won't do that. Do we have is there a moral equivalency between what's happening today in Russia and what's happening in the United States? Not in my opinion. We have a free press. We have a solidly functioning democracy. We have respect for human rights and things like that. Having said all that, it's damn important that we find a way to have the best possible relationship we can with Russia. It may not be a good one, but we need to have the best possible relationship we can.
Well, as a man who ran the Reagan White House, when you hear the talk of the competing power centers, when you know that our president, not a criticism, just a fact, has no government experience, how important is it that they get that part of it right? And are you alarmed at all by what you see in the early days?
Well, I'm not alarmed by what I've seen so far, but because I want to tell you something. Presidents will take their advice from people in whom they have trust. Oftentimes, those are the people who went through the fire with them in the campaign. So it doesn't offend me to see them tweaking the membership of the National Security Council and that sort of thing. I mean, you know, I was a political advisor for 4 years to Ronald Reagan. I did the debate preparation for him in the campaign, and then I was his White House Chief of Staff, and I attended every National Security Council meeting that he had. So I'm not put off by that. There does need to be clear lines of authority and responsibility. So far, at least, I think there are 4 or 5 power centers in this White House. How will that shake out? We don't know yet.
I can't see Ronald Reagan on Twitter in the morning launching insults at people.
No, but I did. But you couldn't see any other prior president on Twitter either.
If you were his chief of staff, what would you do about that?
I think you need to have a coordinated and consistent and singular approach. I mean, back in our day, we had the issue of the day. It'd be pretty hard today to have the issue of the day if you don't know what the president's going to put on Twitter at 2 a.m. in the morning. You'd have to wait till then to find out what the issue of the day is. But look, it's been very successful for him. So who's to say? I mean, it worked. Nobody thought it would work. It worked. Maybe it'll work now, but I do think it makes it more difficult to have a well-oiled, well-coordinated approach where the administration can speak with one voice.